Are you home, Lloyd?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll stop and see you after this show.
Oh, okay.
You'll be there, right?
Yeah, I'm home.
Live from the city of Erie, Pennsylvania, with your host, Kaz Kwiatkowski and John Steiner.
With our first guest.
You are watching Taxpayer's Hotline.
The sound this week is so much better. The callers coming in clear. The microphones are working.
And it's coming out of there and they're working.
And it's coming out of the new speaker system. Are those new speakers or are those the old?
No, those are old ones, but now with the new board, they work better.
With the new, okay, that's good. Mike said that they made some technical adjustments, so that looks good and it's all working good.
Sounds a lot better.
Absolutely. We have a caller on the air. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Cass.
Yeah.
These guys going around door to door, once you change your electric bills,
Yeah.
do they have a permit to go around door to door?
They're supposed to, if Mr. Rocco would be the one that would license them.
I know, they come out door to door every day.
Yeah, they're supposed to, if we find out about it, you can call City Hall, either call the number, the complaint number, or Mr. Rocco.
I know, we get 2 or 3 of them every day.
Yeah, some are legit, and, I caution people, to do their research.
Yeah, I know, one time we got stuck into it and we had double bills.
Maybe if David's listening up there, sometimes he does, maybe he'll call down for us. But I do believe, I think they have to get a license if they're going door to door.
You've actually tried that? You've done that, Lloyd?
I did it once, never do it again.
Okay, I've never done it. What is there actual benefit to doing that?
No, there ain't.
Well, how do they, what is their claim?
I guarantee you're gonna have lower electric bill
For a while, right?
for a while.
Yeah.
But for the first month, then when you look at your bill, you gotta watch it. You have a double bill. You have Penelec and you have them.
Oh, so it's the ambit that we're talking about, or whatever that is, right?
But you stuck in it to a year, and some of them have where you try to cancel, you have to pay a cancellation fee.
Because I think Penelec still charges you the transportation fee, and all they do is charge you the electric.
Is that how?
Because I think what they're doing, they're using Penelec's lines.
Right. Well, right.
See,
yeah.
what Penelec's doing is they're saying to companies, I think, now, don't quote me.
Right.
It's our lines, our system,
Right.
but we'll allow you to transport your power through it.
Right.
And so these companies, from what I hear, maybe that's what you're kind of telling me, Lloyd. For a while it's cheaper, but then after a while it gets higher.
No, after 2 months it get higher.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Some people it's a little longer period.
Oh, really?
I would tell people to do their homework, and to talk to other people that have gone with these companies.
I always thought, I'm like, there's no way that would be too good. There's no way that the electric company would allow that to happen, especially through their lines.
Well, the electric company is concerned about, they gave us a seminar once, and they were saying, they provide the infrastructure, but I think as far as coming door to door to your house and all that,
Well, it's kind of like,
they don't really want to do that, so basically they're selling their power over the line,
yeah, isn't it kind of like, it's like a granted monopoly, so why would they give up a granted monopoly?
Well, because I think they had to,
Oh, did they?
but these companies aren't going to build the infrastructure, the grid and all that.
Yeah,
So what they do is they lease the grid, I think.
yeah,
They lease the stuff off of Penelec,
yeah.
and then,
Is that how it works?
yeah, well, kind of like even in, when you look at telephone poles, they're owned by one of the utilities. I think it's Penelec.
It has to be.
And then they lease the right to other people to hook up there.
Yeah, right.
And so the power company, I think because they had to open it up to competition.
Yeah.
So, if these companies want to start their own grid system, I guess that's okay.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people that try to get me involved in that too, and I'm just like,
Well, from what I hear, some people experience a lot more than Lloyd did,
yeah,
but after about a year or so, then they,
Yeah, but you
It
know
changes.
something, these guys, when they come to your door, they don't have no ID.
right,
It,
or if they do, you don't know if it's legit.
yeah, you don't.
right.
Wouldn't even show me the ID, and I
Hey.
got real nasty, and I told him,
If you know,
hang up, Kaz, let somebody else get on.
All right, thanks for calling, Lloyd. Can't even get out that door. Go ahead. Holy cow. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hello, Gaz, did you get those numbers on the deficit?
Actually, Kaz right now just got an important call on his phone that he's been waiting for. So he's away from the desk right now. But, he'll answer when you get back. But, is there anything else you want to talk about till then?
Did any of your viewers have try to watch Pennsylvania Cable Network over the weekend?
I don't know. I mean, if they're listening, they can call and comment on it. What was on there that you want to discuss?
It went out Friday, and I called Spectrum. They had no idea what was wrong. They wanted to send a technician to my house, and it was black all 3 days until this afternoon, just before your show. I tried to tune it in, and they finally put a message on the screen that they're working with the provider to resolve the technical difficulties. When you call Spectrum, they have no idea how to communicate with their channel providers. They can't even call, for example, a Pennsylvania Cable Network,
Right.
find out if a signal is being sent from PCN to Spectrum.
Right.
And with all the communications equipment, they have no way of communicating. They just want to send a technician to my house, and he would not be able to do anything if Spectrum's not receiving a signal.
It doesn't make any sense if all your other channels are working, but just that one isn't. Why would they even, you know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense.
You're right. I don't understand why they can't communicate with their channel providers to find out if they're even receiving a signal
Yeah, right.
to provide to their customers.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. That doesn't make. But I just recently switched to Spectrum myself, and I don't even get this channel. I don't get the community access channel. I don't get the school board channel.
why don't you get this one?
I don't
Did you call them?
know.
You gotta call them.
I mean,
I don't understand why they switched these channels from CAT from 2 on the.
They're redoing their whole digital,
again,
well, no, that's what they did a little while ago. But what I tell people is, like, I had trouble with mine for a while.
yeah,
You gotta call the number. First, try to reboot it yourself.
yeah. I tried that before.
And if it does, try 2 or 3 times. If it doesn't work, call them. They'll reboot it from, their point.
Yeah,
And if they don't, then they'll have to send somebody out to, there's no reason why if you shouldn't be getting,
what you're paying.
yeah, and that includes the government channels and
Yeah,
Cat TV and all them.
Yeah, it was so much simpler when they were on the single digit.
Yeah.
We know. We were on channel 9. Now I think we're on channel 1024 or
Right.
something like that.
12, 1022, 1024.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Why?
don't be afraid to call them, because if you can't do it with your rebooting,
Yeah.
you know how to reboot, right, sir?
Yes, I've done it several times.
Yeah, I've had to do it too.
Yeah.
It seems like this new company, I'll tell you what, my channel 12 goes out at times, and there's like more technical difficulties. But I would advise everybody to call Spectrum, call that, I don't have the number on me.
Well, I think they post the number right on the screen.
I used to have, maybe I got it here,
Okay.
but I know I called them and they did it at their end, they rebooted,
yeah.
they take over your TV and,
Right.
remotely.
Right.
Doesn't make sense if they would take the government and education and CAD off the single digits, and
Yeah, right.
Well, they're trying to, the way they explained to me was they're trying to clear up space.
but they're not even using those channels anymore.
Well, they use a lot of it for, stuff you don't know about, like internet.
Oh,
Yeah,
They only got so much width on those, cables.
right.
So what they're trying to do is take away the duplicate channels, move them around, and try to free up some bandwidth, I guess.
they took away channel 2 CAT, and now they got a channel 1, which is news from Ohio, which I don't even care about. I wanted to watch the Spectrum or Time Warner Sports from Ohio because they had good talk shows and history of Cleveland area sports, but
Yeah.
now they took those off, or they have a message on the screen that there's no longer programming available on these channels. Turn to channel 1 Spectrum News, but that has no sports on it. And I was watching Les Levine, a 1-hour show Monday through Thursday, and now you have to have a computer to get his show.
Oh, really?
He went off the air at the end of December.
Yeah, I used to like watching him, and sometimes I watch Bruce Drennan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that the same channel with Bruce Drennan on it?
No, Drennan's still on 23.
They had
FPO,
another, they had another sub-channel down below.
Or did they?
But this channel 99 and 311 had Les Levine, who knows a lot more about Cleveland history, because he's been in Cleveland
I
since
don't know if
the
that's right,
50s, so he knows all about it, and he has better guests. He has writers from the Plain Dealer like Dennis Manilow, Bud Shaw, and Gary Pluta, who's written books on Cleveland history. So he knows a lot more about the history, where Drennan is from Chicago. He knows Chicago history.
Oh, right.
Didn't come to Cleveland until about 20 or 30 years ago.
Oh, I didn't
So
know that.
I don't have a computer, so I can't get Les Levine. But
Right.
the Spectrum has messed up a lot lately.
Yeah, they have.
I see a lot of people post different complaints about them, how they hate them.
Kaz, did you get the numbers on the deficit?
God, I forgot to break, jeez. I even talked to the finance director. I think where the confusion lies is that, what they're calling a deficit is a deficit leading into this year. In other words, coming into this year, we needed $11 million more money. Not that we lost it the year before. It's just that when we look at what our revenue projections were compared to what the cost of doing business went up, that's where I think you're getting confused with the $11 million figure.
So technically, we should have raised taxes last year, kinda?
Well, like we know going into next year, we know payroll is gonna increase.
Yeah.
So staying the same is not gonna get you,
Where you just end up with a larger
Yeah, you're gonna-
deficit down, you just keep kicking the can.
right, like in the case of Mill Creek and those places where they have building projects, okay, any shortage is taken up by new building permits and stuff like that, new businesses,
Right.
people moving in.
Right.
With us, when you look at, the salaries, the, bond issues,
Right.
all of our legacy costs, going into this year, we needed to find $11 million. Yeah, and part of that was that $1 million error they had, the $900,000.
Yeah.
But basically, it's trying to find out how you gonna get the new revenue,
Right.
which is why they did a bond issue this year. To do the things we wanted to do, we were 11 million shy.
Right. Wow.
That's what I think you're talking about, sir.
Was there only 900 and some thousand carried over from the previous?
No, the $900,000 was what they anticipated, moving into the budget. Every year we take so much out of our various accounts, like, sewer, golf, things like that. Mostly sewer, we take money out of there. And because that makes money, they return part of that profit to the city that goes into our general fund. We count on that. We count on that money from our, what we call our, enterprise funds. These are funds that make us money, which sewer does.
Was there any error, Kaz, carried over from the previous financial?
No, what happened was they miscalculated how much money was in there.
Who did?
So they miscalculated the amount of money they wanted to bring in this 2019 budget. So there was a, $900,000 shortfall there. But going back to your 11 million, that kind of addresses what we look as the needs and what we know we've collected in the past. Like, we know pretty much how much we're gonna collect in income tax, and we know how much we're gonna collect in real estate tax. But when your costs of doing business go up, now you gotta come up with,
When
you either gotta
revenues,
got or you gotta come up with other revenue.
when revenues don't match expenditures, then we have a problem.
Well, that's where, when you get into 11 million, in other words, I remember a friend of mine who was the finance director here, he said, if we do everything right, we're still gonna be in trouble. What that meant was, like I can tell you next year, wages are going up.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee. They've already been negotiated.
Oh, they've already been negotiated?
Well, it's part of the contract.
All right.
When you do, John, you've been in contracts, what do they tell you? 3% a year.
3%, yeah.
So you know every year, okay, if you're expending, let's say, $10 million on salaries,
How can you not raise taxes all the time if you have?
because it's unpopular with politicians.
That's why they kick the can and then.
Well, yeah, because everybody's afraid.
Well, when they, raise the taxes and, go ahead.
Can you talk, this is.
Yeah, go ahead. When they raise, usually you get your tax increases, like this year, last year, we had the mayoral election. So normally the first year they don't, but this year we had to, and then for the next 2 or 3 years, you will not see a tax increase, in my opinion, until after the next re-election. That's usually how, you still there, caller?
Yes, he wants to raise the refuse fee, though. He did want to.
But that's not technically, that's a backdoor, type of situation, and that's not a property tax. You won't see a property tax increase, I'm guessing, for a couple of years. I read somewhere they're gonna have major budget problems in the year 2024, or was it 2021 or something like that? I'll have to ask Kaz when he comes back in, but.
Is that because of bond issues coming due?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact reason, but it was like serious deficit. I'll have to ask him when he comes back in here again, but, it's not gonna be a good situation from what I read. It was a couple months back where I read it, so I can't remember exactly what it said. But, and I've heard some of the council people talking about it, and, it's not good. So hopefully they're gonna be proactive to make sure that we don't get into a situation like we're in today.
Or are any bond issues coming due this year?
That, Kaz would have to answer that one. I don't know exactly. But, in the future, I don't know if they're balloon payments or exactly what, but it was stated in the Times about how, in a couple of years, we're gonna be in trouble.
And where was this miscalculation from the current or the previous financial department?
Well,
Who miscalculated?
The same finance director is still the same guy.
Oh, is it? You mean?
Yeah, he carried over.
Oh, they have the same financial director as the previous administration had?
Yeah, Joe Sinnott's guy, he stayed here.
Oh, did he? I didn't know.
Yeah, his name's Paul Lichtenwalter. Paul's a good guy. I don't know, he's on top of things. I've met him a few times. I've talked to him some. We know each other, and I don't know how that discrepancy came about, but as a finance director, you're at the whim of of politics basically. But Paul's a really good guy, and he's good at what he does. Because if you think about when Senate was in there, we didn't really have that many. We had balanced budgets every year. Sure, he might have kicked the can down the road, obviously, but Paul does. He has to do what he has to do. So he knows the budget, and he's been around long enough. And very rarely do you have somebody like in that position that moves from one administration to the other. So he's a good guy too, and he's got our best interest at heart.
Could you ask Kaz when he comes back?
Sure.
if there's any bond issues coming due this year that the city's gonna have to pay off.
Any bond issues this year that the city has to pay off?
Well, we're gonna be floating a new one.
Floating a new one.
Yeah,
Alright.
that's how we ended,
Oh, to pay the 11, to pay,
to do the things we wanna do with the roads and everything.
wow.
Oh,
Another one for roads?
that's always a bad idea, because the roads never,
I can't get, if I could get 4 votes to raise taxes, that'd probably be an unpopular person, but it makes more sense than floating a bond issue.
yeah.
I don't know, it's
I mean,
like-
you asked me why we don't raise taxes, okay?
Yeah,
If, the best way to pay for roads would be to have an increase in taxes with a dedicated millage.
an earmark for roads, and,
Yeah, dedicated. In other words,
Yes.
doesn't go in the general budget.
yeah, until they move it over there.
No, it goes into, we've done this before even at the school district. What you do is you set up a separate account and you take the money, just like when we raise taxes every year.
Yeah,
Some money goes to the general budget.
yeah,
Another portion goes to debt service.
yeah. How much of the
And
budget?
so that money has to go, in other words, you have to, by law, because you do it by ordinance,
Yeah.
that money has to go into a certain account and can only be expended out of there.
How much of the budget is mandated funding? You know, like how much, I mean, automatically, isn't it like 85%?
Well, like payroll and public safety is about almost 80-some%.
85%, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, when you get into it, it's like wages and benefits.
Yeah,
So, I mean, knowing those things go up, no one considered how far the fuel's gonna go up.
yeah,
We don't even know until we bid on the fuel what it's gonna be. We don't know, I mean, we got bond issues from, I think we still have a little bond debt, sir.
yeah, well, sure.
Is any of the new bond that's gonna be bought be used to pay off other bond issues that are coming due this year?
No, what we do is sometimes we refinance, but floating bond issues to pay off old bond issues is not a good idea.
Depends on your interest rates, right?
If you can, well, that's why you refinance. But,
Okay,
but nobody, there's only, I always tell people, there's only so many ways you can do things. You can,
You only got 15% of the budget
I mean,
that I work with.
you can float bond issues or, you can raise taxes.
Yeah,
Either way, you're gonna, why politicians like bond issues? Because they seemingly look like they're way down the line.
yeah. And they don't have to raise taxes, and then they just kicking on down the line from when it's not election years.
Yeah,
I know how you politicians are.
but it's always, but you're still paying it off. It's there every year.
Well, thanks for calling, caller. We're gonna get some other calls in.
thank you, have a good day.
You too, bud.
That's the trouble with, I mean, I'm in favor of raising taxes when you have to, but you know what? You gotta be honest with the people when you do
You
it.
know, people just, they don't like it. I don't like it. Go ahead, caller.
That gentleman that just called for his lack of stations like INSP and FS1,
Yeah,
he has to just keep rebooting till he's blue in the face and it'll come back.
yeah, sometimes they do, John, sometimes they don't. So what I tell people, I had to do with mine. I just called the what they call the service number.
All right.
I don't have it on me. I have one number. I don't know if it's right. And so I keep it by my TV at home. And what they'll do, they'll remotely take over your TV.
Yeah, and they tell you to do the same thing you would normally do there, and then they watch the numbers going down and all that. But
But what he had to do, he found out when mine wouldn't work, 2 things usually happen.
your box is fried, or you gotta,
There you go. That's the one thing. Your box is either fried or getting fried.
yeah.
And the second one is they'll send a repairman out and they'll check your feed coming out of the power lines.
They'll tell you to go down and get a new box.
Yeah, but what he did with mine was he came in and they had one truck was outside checking the power from the
From the pole.
to your house. Another guy was checking inside, see if that, if it was lost, where it was getting lost, if it was lost. And then they went down to the basement and they took out one of the old splitters I had Because your splitters aren't really worth anything anymore. You can't really use them, as like, you know, with the new TVs.
True.
And so what they do, they rob power sometimes. So I would advise people, you know, if you can't do it on your own, you're right, John, if you keep doing it till you're blue in the face, then call them, and if they can't do it, they're gonna send a repairman out.
True.
And let him look it over, and maybe you gotta, you know, in my case, I was one of the first ones that had that cable years ago, so it had to be rewired one time.
Yeah, they rewired all mine. I don't know how many times, but hey, while I'm on the phone, you know, I was up to the fire administration garage and picked up a couple of
Smoke detectors?
yeah, and these are good for 10 years, and they're multiple, you know, carbon, smoke, and whatever. They're the best going, and no batteries for 10 years.
Yeah,
They must have got a grant again.
they get a grant, and then they get, you know, they've been doing this for years, and,
That's a good thing.
you know, it's first come, first served, though.
That's a good
Well, you
program.
know, that one they're giving out, I think they're over $40 a piece now.
Yeah. I got one from my mother, because she's, you know,
Well, sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good program.
Should have got two of them, one in the basement and one up on the main floor.
but it's a good program that, you know,
Yeah, they give you two of them, and you know it's there. You might as well get something out of your tax money. And talking about tax money, has the city decided to release who donated the $100,000 for the motorcycles?
it's not their decision.
Well, I didn't know the city was the 103C.
They're not. 501c3, they're not.
They're not, John, but,
What they do, can I jump in on
yeah,
that?
go ahead.
With, you know, with the school district has a partnership where people, you know, can donate to them. And honestly, the city should really consider, but to see that, I don't know if you want the city to actually run the partnership or the 501c3, because there are people, and I'm telling you right now, there would be some authorities and these other people that would donate. They would privately donate to those.
Well, look, John, let me tell you this, there's no hocus pocus. Okay?
No, there's not. And it's totally legal.
When I was treasurer, I would get a letter from many places.
Yeah.
There was a religious order, they don't want to be out there.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why a lot of people don't want to be out there, because they're making a donation, they don't want everybody.
Yeah, people will knock on their door.
Right, because in one case, the company that did this, and I have a good idea who it is, although I can't tell you I know it,
Yeah.
but, you know, they're headquartered or they're located, like, you know, Gannon's done things in the past, they've given us a police car.
And they're giving us 3 police cars, which is a cheap date.
Well, yeah, but I mean, then you hear from people that go, well, why don't you give some to this township or that township? Well, you know, they're not paying taxes in the city, so they feel this is their obligation.
What, you know, in my opinion, the city should do it.
Charge services.
Well, that's another thing.
But yeah, but that's a legal issue with the Commonwealth,
The
John.
501c3, if the city was to establish a 501c3,
Yeah,
it is legal to do that. It is legal to collect. This is just recently, because you know, there was talk about, you know, a government, you know, because the school board just went through this.
Yeah.
So it is legal.
well, we've never had that kind of problem. We've had donations in the past.
Yeah.
They've gone through,
But I could understand where she's coming
They-
from on that.
well,
Because,
yeah, but we vote on them right there publicly, okay?
yeah, I get it, but I can understand where that might, you know, be like, eh.
Well,
But
for-
I know it's, honestly, in this town, I mean,
If there's a deal though, okay,
yeah,
if there's a string attached, and in this case there was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a string, it was just,
yeah,
we decided that,
Oh.
you know, donate this to the police
yeah,
motorcycle division. We had people in the past that donated 3 piles of money,
yeah,
and they designated public works, fire, and police.
right,
And all they asked was that they got a letter back saying what they bought with them. You know, use at your discretion, okay?
right,
I mean, when I was on the school board, we had a adopted school program,
yeah,
okay?
yeah,
And, you know, I know what the councilwoman was getting at.
Yeah.
She's afraid that they're gonna come up to us and say, well, we'll give you $100,000 for rezoning.
Well, I could see why.
Okay.
I could see where they're, I mean, I know.
But we voted on that money publicly. We took it in at
Yeah.
at a meeting.
Yeah,
It was earmarked for a specific purpose.
yeah,
And I know the reason why they don't want to be out there.
right. I mean, that's, and the city would benefit from that type of situation.
Well, we never had that. All of a sudden it's a problem, okay?
Yeah, I mean, that's not a.
We've never had a problem like that before.
I know, but it does, she does raise a good point on that. I mean, I
Yeah,
know
but
there's nothing.
sometimes, like the newspaper is bound to turn find out who it is.
Well, yeah.
The company does not want their name on it,
That's their job. you know,
okay?
Right.
Now,
Well, with
the
good reason.
problem becomes, who's gonna secure the information? Okay?
Yeah.
I can tell you this, there are people every day, Danny gets an anonymous gift,
Yeah,
and they're not required to tell you.
right.
but
Well, that's because, why? Because they're a 501c3.
No, they're also private. They under no obligation to tell you
Yeah.
who it is.
Yeah. Well, that's why the city needs to set up a 501c3, a barrier between, people that want to be generous
Yeah.
and politics. There's, you have to have a separation of generosity
To me,
and
I
politics.
think I understand, John, but I think it's a lot of hooey, okay?
It could be, but I understand where there might be.
I've been here 20-some years and I've never, to my knowledge, had anybody
Like,
directly give money with.
listen, if there's any, in this town or in any town, if there's political kickback
Yeah.
or political.
You're never gonna
favors-
see it publicly.
No.
Okay,
They're
you're not gonna see that out in the
No.
open.
No,
You're not gonna see that money.
no, trust me, there's stuff that goes on, but nothing
I
publicly
mean, you
like
have
that.
you have a company gave you $100,000 with a check.
Yeah,
It was taken in by council
yeah,
in an ordinance form, appropriated by ordinance,
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
It can't be any more transparent than that.
No, I think a 501c3 is the right way to go.
And but everybody's assuming the truth's gonna, John, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there. I have a couple more quick
Go ahead.
questions. I have one right now. Berkmeyer sends out your tax forms, right?
Yes.
And
Well,
he
the
gets-
income tax ones.
He gets the returns. Is he bonded so he doesn't
That's-
let any of the social security numbers or anything?
Absolutely, he's
How-
bonded.
Can I see a copy where he says he's bonded and all that and doesn't release any of that?
I'm sure you can. You could probably just request a Freedom of Information Act.
A right to know.
Let me tell you this, when he's used by everybody in Erie County. That's the new state law, that income tax has to be collected by one person.
Yeah, I see where they got rid of all those collectors, right?
Well, you could still have them, but
Well, yes, I know, but still, they're trying to eliminate these positions throughout the county.
yeah, and he's one of the two biggest in the Commonwealth. There's him, Berkheim, and there was one other company. I'm trying to think of the name of it. But Berkheimer has a lot of the Commonwealth. They're out of the east. They have offices around here, but yeah, they're bonded, and the system is supposed to be secure. But like any system, John, can it be hacked?
I imagine.
But yeah,
I got a 16-year-old kid who can do it.
yep, but we haven't had any trouble with them, up to now. But yeah, you can ask them for information on their security.
Here, the LED lights. Where are we at that? With that,
What do you mean?
installing them in the signals, and they don't put out the light power, and somebody's going to get killed.
You mean you're talking about traffic lights?
Traffic lights and whatever.
Well, the traffic lights,
They don't illuminate enough.
you don't think the traffic lights are good?
Nope.
Wait a minute, you talking about signals or
The traffic lights, the signals.
you mean the red, yellow, and green?
Right.
You don't like them?
No, they're horrible. The birds don't even like them. They won't build nests there. There's no more heat, and there's no more illumination. Sometimes you can't even tell they're on when the sun's out.
I think I agree with that. There's sometimes when that sun, he's right about the sun.
Those are done by contract, so I don't know. Not being the traffic engineer, I don't know what the specs are anymore.
Sometimes you can't see. He is right about that.
But as for the street lights, those are common. You got like Gannon, they paid to put some in near the campus.
Yeah.
Sodium lights.
Yeah.
There's so many watts, and so sodium is a different type of a light. It doesn't
the trouble is we're in like a big battle right now, John.
It doesn't illuminate, it absorbs light, the
Yeah.
sodium lights.
They're looking for ways to save money everywhere. And, you know, you got people that claim they meet the criteria, you know. I'm not the engineer, John, I couldn't tell you.
Oh,
But,
they'll say they meet the criteria to get the contract.
well, no, they say there's minimal,
Minimal power.
yeah, like when you see the lights on 38th Street, the state want those, okay?
True, but there's
We
some
buy
of
ours,
those
you know.
LED lights installed along there too.
I'd have to have either, I don't think she'd come on, I'll ask her if the traffic engineer wants to come on and explain, you know, how they go about it.
Hey, John, before you get off there, let me ask you a quick question. What do you feel about the UE 506 WAPTEX situation?
What do I think about them?
Yeah, what do you think about the whole strike situation? And
The strike situation is sad. I was making that kind of money back in the 90s,
yeah,
but I had 350 pieces of equipment, and I went to school the hard way, up through the ranks. Now, I heard so many goods about GE and other things, and I've heard so many bads. And as far as Westinghouse coming in, it's like anything else. They want to come in and they want to sell a package deal and have somebody okay it. That's like when they brought all the Japanese over and the Chinese over, take them through the plants and they're photographing everything and getting all the information. And next thing you know, West Germany selling locomotives and whatever. I think that they should accept. You know, you don't come in making top money right off the bat. You know, you go through a stage, like an apprenticeship.
Well, I think what they're worried about is,
The benefits,
isn't it true though that they didn't really answer the question on TV?
well, what they say, if you're making a certain wage,
Yeah,
and then you get laid off,
but they didn't ask them that
and then
specific.
they bring you back
Right.
at a tier 1 pay, so you lose like almost 50 to 60% of your
But
pay.
they didn't ask that
They
question.
eventually they're gonna lay everybody off and bring them back.
Well, here's what they didn't do on TV, and I was careful to listen. They said there's you listening, John?
listening.
It's all in the semantics, okay?
Yeah,
They said new employees get $22.50, right?
yeah, okay.
Existing
That's not
employees
what I
get,
read.
well, whatever.
Okay, that just.
Well, I was watching one newscast. You might
okay.
not have been. The one newscast said, and they quoted
Yeah,
WAPTEC. They said a new employee would get a tier 1 wage, like $22.50,
right,
whatever that was.
yeah,
An existing employee would have his $35.
okay,
Okay,
yeah,
and they said that's what they called them: a new employee, an existing employee. Okay.
all right,
Now my question is, nobody asked them the key question. You just did.
I did,
Okay, say you're an existing employee.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
and you get laid off.
yeah.
Are you an existing employee or a new employee?
When you come back, you drop down to a tier 1 employee.
So see, they told the truth, but they really didn't.
Yeah.
So my question is, and I said this to other people around town, I said, what they have to say is clear up the mess. You know, is it true that if you're a $35 employee, you're an existing old employee, okay? Who's that?
Chief police.
Oh, and if they decide to, you know, for whatever reason, to lay you off, now do you come back as a new employee? Is that your classification?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
So that's the question. So,
that's the answer is yes.
so the way they sounded on TV, it's like everybody, a lot of people around town were confused. They go, well, if you're an old employee and you get laid off, you're still getting 30. No.
Oh, you're
See,
not.
but nobody the media didn't cover that
Right.
and asked WAPTEC to explain that comment.
Right.
You know, do you become now a new employee?
It's like we are in a class warfare, Kaz. The middle class is under attack. The high class,
Yeah.
they want they want you to be high class or low class. or
So,
working.
I mean, like John, when you were with the power company, right?
Yeah.
If you came back at your wage, right?
If you were laid off and came back
No, I think you'd have to start all over.
You would?
on a layoff,
I know I worked there for like 6 months, and before 6 months came, I got laid off for a couple days, and I came back and I restarted again.
What if you were like a 10-year employee?
A 10-year employee?
Yeah, if you were, say
you had some seniority or,
Yeah, you know, you're vested or something like that.
They wouldn't lay you off.
But if they had to,
Yeah.
what was in your contract?
How can they?
I never went through that for 40 years.
I mean, there were guys at GE that got laid off because the contracts weren't there. You know, it was hard to bump a guy up there, but
How can
some
you-
guys got bumped.
How can you expect to pay somebody a certain rate?
Well, you can get bumped if you had more time than the other person in going for another job. And if no one in that department would bid on the job, you would get it because you had the time.
How can you expect to pay somebody a certain rate? Have them go out, you know, and say, like I make 70,000. So I got a house, I go to house payment, I go get a car, I have a car payment, I budget my, my finances, and then when they get laid off, they come back at 50% less of what they made. How the hell? It kills the economy. Without the middle class, our economy folds because nobody has purchasing power. And you know how you saying, crap rolls downhill.
True.
That the middle class are the ones that are out spending the money. The 1%ers, they have all the money.
Well, apparently GE had in their contract that, I know it's very exotic, okay? But I'm sure there was some departments at GE that contracts dried up temporarily.
Yeah.
Guys would go on layoff for a while, and then they'd come back and,
At their rate.
yeah,
And they could collect unemployment, but then when they did get called back, they got called back at their rate.
I mean,
It's just because you can't, if your house payment and your mortgage and your car payment, they're not gonna cut it 50%.
And I think
if
some
your
guys-
wages get cut 50,
some
so you
guys-
couldn't even buy in the first place.
well, some guys used to take voluntary layoffs too.
Yeah, you couldn't, think about it. If I worked at Wabtec, as far as GE, they lay off so often, you
Well-
couldn't go out and, I'm gonna go buy a new house, because
Here's a
you
perfect
don't know
example.
what's gonna happen.
Here's a perfect example. In the school system, we never knew how many kids were gonna show up on day one,
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
We had an idea.
yeah.
But,
ballpark.
so what they would do is they would have to hire extra teachers.
Yeah,
Maybe after like about a week or two, when the dust settled.
yeah.
So what could happen very easily is you could say, you know what, we're gonna terminate 1/4 of our workforce
Right.
all the time, play that game and then bring them back and say,
Yeah, that's
know.
what they're gonna do.
well, yeah,
Okay, John, we might have to get some other callers in.
Okay, well, one quick thing.
Yeah.
He lost the armature division, they lost the refrigeration division, and it looks like they're going to lose this thing here, and Wabtec's going to take them all out.
yeah.
Have a great day.
I think, is it possible that Wabtec just rolls in, GE rolls in and buys all Wabtec stock after they break the unions?
Who knows? Who really knows,
Yeah, don't think that's not talked about. Go ahead, caller.
One comment, and I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had only 2 callers on since 2 o'clock, and here's 47 minutes to 3. That's my comment.
Well, I'm sorry, sometimes we get
Yeah,
carried away.
sometimes we get-
First caller was on to 2:29. Well, anyway, my question is, why is the city police going on the picket lines at GE? I was involved in 2 strikes on West 12th Street. You know where it is,
Yeah,
up in Green Garden, and they never had city police there. They had the county sheriff's department there.
right.
Why is the city police on the picket line?
That would be something I'd have to ask the chief of police.
Well,
Well, I know he's getting that. In the past, like my dad was a policeman, he was deputized by the sheriff's department, okay?
Yeah.
When the Continental strike got so big they couldn't handle it. But most of the time, it falls to the job of the sheriff's department to police those things.
Yeah, but our sheriffs don't have policing powers.
That's why, yeah, but in the past, were you a police officer, sir?
No, I was not.
But in the past, what they did, John, is that's part of their job title, okay?
Okay.
And when they can't handle it, like some of these strikes get pretty big, the sheriff is allowed to deputize, like they did one time, you were pretty young, but when Continental Rubber went out, it got to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
And my dad was deputized as a city police officer.
Okay.
After Lord's got an injunction.
But you're right about that. I think The only reason I think the police were there is because it involved, Lawrence Park was there along with us because it was right on the line.
Well,
And I
yeah,
think they made a decision that better to have the police there before something happened. But I agree with you, I'm gonna have to check with the chief
well,
what his logic was.
the Franklin Avenue entrance is,
After Lawrence got an injunction, we were only allowed so many picketers on the line
Right,
I saw that. Go ahead, Cole, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
gate, the 12th Street gate.
I tell you, I
That
saw,
was the nasty, they flew them in by helicopter and everything.
yeah,
did you happen to see the,
They got the injunction, the sheriff was there every day. Tony Mucci, I don't know if you know who he is.
yeah, I do.
He was there just about every day, and there was no city cops there. And then, they had to round up a bunch of people, and that's when the city come in with a bus.
Yeah, they would, you know, really, that's part of their, job description.
Okay, now I'll let somebody else get in here.
Hey, thank you.
I'm only the third caller all day long here.
well,
Okay,
we apologize.
hey.
But he's right about,
Did you, holy smoly.
go ahead, caller.
Hey there, Cass.
Yes,
I have a triple question. When those motorcycles that they're going to get money to do,
right.
does the city still have their used vehicle sale they used to have at the?
Yeah, I asked them a question, what they're gonna do with them. There's a couple options. They can have an auction, or they can put them up for sale, you know, but they will probably, more than likely, we have giant auctions when we have a lot of stuff. With this case, they may advertise them and, you know, put them out for bid, or they may have an auction, but they will, in some way, they will do something like that. And they'll notify the public.
Because sometimes they used to have that used to be a fairly decent fundraiser for them too.
Oh, yeah, but that's when we had, every so many years, we got so much stuff laying around that, they'll sell off old fire trucks, old trucks. You know, I don't know if they got that much in the back hopper right now, though.
Do you have any? You know, if I have some mechanics tools,
Yeah,
do you know of anyone that I might that works for the city maintenance garage might be interested in getting? They're heavy duty tools like
mean
1-inch
buy them?
ratchet set stuff.
you mean buying them possibly?
Well, no, but my father-in-law was into that.
Yeah. What do you wanna do with them? You wanna sell them to the city, you mean, or?
Interested in seeing if somebody would be interested in buying them, yeah.
I would call the city garage, ask this, I don't know if I got his number.
Because the guys I used to know aren't there anymore.
Yeah, you can talk to the supervisor and ask him,
The 870-1340.
is that what it is?
I think so, yeah. That's the streets department.
Yeah, they call the streets department, Doc,
870-1340.
and ask to talk to someone down there about it. Maybe, you know, they'll put a thing up on the wall, somebody wants to buy them. Because the guys get a tool allowance, basically. They have to buy their own tools.
Yes, he used to use these when he worked on road graders and
Yeah.
dozers and stuff like that, so they're heavy duty.
Well, you know, like I say, talk to the bureau chief down there and see what he tells you. If I catch them all, I'll bring it up to him.
Now, your mom doing okay?
Yep, she's home watching the show.
Okay, because I tried to call her one time, but somebody else answered the phone and said she wasn't home, so I was wondering. All right,
She's
you
in
take
better-
care. Have a good day.
Thanks for calling. She's in better shape than we are.
Yes, she is.
She gets around. She is such, she's.
Yeah, we'll probably have if we don't have an auction, we'll have a, you know, a little sale.
Did you happen to see the order from, the strike order from Judge Mead about what they can't do for
Yeah.
the strike?
I saw part of it.
I mean, they can't do anything. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Kaz, you used to put your little disclaimer out there. Don't do anything personal. Keep it in good taste. Last week, John, what do you call the mayor? A goofball.
Did you?
John, you heard it because you shook your head. 'Cause I seen you.
What happened?
Did you call the mayor Goop?
Mayor John, who just talked for 20 minutes.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, we don't have a screening device on
Yeah,
here.
I mean, we don't have a 2-minute.
Now, John, you heard it because I seen you. I was watching TV and you shook your head when he said it.
If you want to see something brutal, read the city website.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Well, Cass, don't turn the tables on this.
No, I'm not, but I'm, look, I always told people, keep the show clean.
Yeah.
And I'll cut them off after a certain point,
Well, hey, you got rid of that one guy that used to come on there. What was that older guy that used to sit between you?
DJ?
Oh, I can't remember his name.
DJ?
DJ?
No, not DJ was always in good taste. He was an antagonist.
Oh, I know what he's talking about.
Who's that?
What's his name? Used to come on the show. Remember he would talk about the water department.
Always grumpy, just in a bad mood. And,
Pesca, or what's his name?
yeah, you're on the right track.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. What's his name again?
It'll come back to me.
Pliska?
No.
the
Ronnie Stemka.
Ronnie Stemka.
Yep.
Yeah. He doesn't come around.
He said something, and I told you about that too, because he said something about Tom Wolfe, I think.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he called Tom Wolfe an idiot or something like that.
Oh.
In those lines.
Oh.
They even had a guy call me an idiot once, but after about 3 shows, he calmed down. We're friends now, actually.
One guy? Holy, that's it.
Well, no, he was the worst. We're friends now, though.
Oh, that's good.
Well, because I just told him, I said, what do you think I did that was wrong?
Yeah.
If I did it, tell me.
I mean, you got to remember that when you're doing a live TV show, and sometimes there's stuff going on around here that, that people on TV can't, like people walking by, they're waving us, and some of us, they're giving us the finger, some of them joking around and blah, blah, blah.
Maybe we'll get Mike to get us one of those, panic buttons where you hit it.
Yeah. 5 minutes. We need a 3-second delay.
Well, hey, John calls a lot, so.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, as long as we're on the subject, I don't agree with the mayor going to China.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, hey, Nixon went over there in 74?
Yeah.
And we were 2 years out of Vietnam? Right? Something
Yeah.
like that?
Yep.
Is that about the right timeline?
Yeah, because Vietnam ended, I think, 73.
All right. And
I think
it
that's,
worked.
on my Legion card, I think it says 73.
Okay, and wasn't China backing North Vietnam?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
They never admit it, but.
what was he doing over there?
I don't know.
We should have left those guys riding bicycles over here like they were, instead of now they're driving Toyotas. They shouldn't be riding bicycles.
When the previous trips, like when Lou Tullio went and stuff, they were tied in with GE and contracts. I think Lords was a part of one of the,
I hope that.
I don't know, he hasn't told council. I mean, he talks about the zone and all that, but I don't know specifically who's going over there to do what.
I mean, I'm sure I hope they have, they have a plan. They've already done some preliminary, and they're just going over there to finalize. And I mean, I could see if you send in the economic development. That's where, in my opinion, the chamber, the city, the county, everybody needs to put in.
Well, I'd like to know what we're going to get out of it. Okay?
Well, yeah. I mean, what are the goals? I know he said economic development.
I mean, if you're trying to get like a Samsung plan or something.
Yeah, or something like that. I mean, I'm sure he's not going to say. You don't want to tell the public that you're going there to try to get some. Let's say if you're trying to get a Samsung plant here.
Well, they did in the past. GE was very obvious. They wanted locomotives.
Yeah, but he can't come out and say, "I'm going to talk to Samsung," and then that deal falls through, and then he looks back.
No, what you could do is if they're reaching out to you, then you do it.
Yeah. So hopefully, there's been some preliminary discussions on, what's going on.
But I'm in the dark. But we're all in the dark on council as much as the public.
I'm probably dreaming on it, but go ahead, caller.
Well, John, you were just talking about the downgrading of the middle class.
Yeah.
That's where it started when China started selling their products over here.
Yeah.
That started breaking down the unions. That was the start of it.
Oh, for sure.
You know what they had on TV the other day? Chinese are entering the electric car business.
Oh, really?
They're laughable right now,
Yeah.
but they won't be in a few years.
Oh, give it time. Some Americans will go over there and start making.
They're scaring to be jabbers out of some of our industries.
I'll tell you one thing for sure, Cass. Not to get off the topic, but you're saving money on the heat bill because it is freezing in here. Aren't you cold?
I'm part Eskimo, I think.
I can tell. Yeah, but you're right, caller. I mean, hopefully they have an itinerary. So they've done some preliminary work, and to go over there and say, okay, let's sit down and you know, what can you do and what can we do? And I'm sure, I don't think he would go over there just to walk around. I have a lot of respect for Joe, and I think that they're.
I'll tell you what, over the years though, all of our sister cities,
Yeah.
we got more cultural things back than we did ever, you know, business-wise.
Yeah.
That seems to be the,
We do culture, great, but guess what? Culture doesn't have to tell.
well,
the
it
tax
helped,
bill.
it helped Mercier's,
That help. I want to help the city. I
with
want to
the-
help the workers.
with the
I
college
can't-
things, that was the big thing with Ireland and Poland.
The exchange students, that
Yeah.
does help. That's a good thing, I guess.
But we got a little else out of that though.
Yeah, I mean, we need jobs. And
Are you still there, sir?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing about the GE situation.
Go ahead.
They were a fool for selling this plant in the first place because it's right on the lake. Water in the future is going to be very valuable. I'm sure they have some kind of intake pipe probably going to their powerhouse. They could suck water in anytime they want. They could do so much with that water. They were just a fool to sell that plant. They were a fool.
But John's got a theory, they might buy it back.
I think they might buy the stocks. I think they're just trying to break all the unions. They liquidated so much stuff. They liquidated. And then what they do is they get this other company to come in, break the union, and then they go in and buy all the stock. Boom. And then they re-own it again. But hey, I mean, it's not like they weren't making money on this division.
But it comes down to, the new breed of kids, and
Yeah.
they want to make more money.
Greed. They want to destroy the middle class. I mean, they're trying to do it in the state.
I remember-
Even
I
the state
remember-
of Pennsylvania.
I remember on the lowest level, when they closed Kroger food markets,
Yeah.
they said they weren't losing money, they
State-
just didn't make enough
The
money.
state itself is trying to break the school unions, the teachers union,
Yeah,
and they're trying to break those unions. Those are the middle class. That's the middle class.
we have no middle class.
No, we have the working poor and we have the rich. And that's why the fight out there is not only important for Erie, but it's important for the whole country. And people need to be paying attention for it. We're almost out of time, caller. You have anything else you want to add?
Well, I'll tell you what, GE, they should have stuck where they were, making locomotives and stoves and refrigerators and light bulbs. They got into that insurance thing, which is really stupid. They just spread out too much. They should have stayed industrial, like they were, like they knew what they were doing. They always made the best products. They should have kept on doing that. But they just, and I don't. It's hard to explain what they did.
Well, now you look around town, you see what happens. When people don't have extra disposable money,
That is the key.
they don't go to restaurants, they don't go to the movie theater,
The upper-
they don't go, they don't do the things they used to do.
Your entire economy will fold without the middle class. It will fold.
A perfect example, you go to the grocery store, right?
Yeah?
Now you don't buy that,
Nope.
you don't buy that extra fish
You
cut.
don't go buy that car. Then now you don't have it to go to the gas station. Then you don't have, the
You don't go,
groceries.
you don't go to the hockey game,
You don't go here. You don't go out to the restaurants.
You don't go to-
have disposable
right.
income.
Don't go to
And-
Ricardo's.
And if they cut your wages in half out in GE, you can't do anything because you have to pay the mortgage and the car
and your taxes.
and your taxes.
That's it,
And they've cut your wages in half. There's a fight out there, and I'll tell you, the nation should be watching what's going on out there very closely because that is the future.
I mean, even look at Mill Creek and Summit, a lot of the stores, the other stores,
Yeah.
they're not,
We should try
they're
to
getting hurt now.
we should try to get Scott Slauson from UE 506 to come on the show and talk.
Do you know him?
I'll,
I know him, but probably not as good as you do.
let me see.
Put it out there, I'll put him on the show.
Let me see what we can do.
Well, stop down to the Union Hall on Main Street, Lawrence
I'm
Park.
gonna
and,
stop out there and talk. I'll see what I can do this week.
give Scott a message. And
I'll get him or somebody out here for sure.
Yeah, they can, and I'll open it up and I'll warn them that,
Oh yeah, we'll explain to him. Anybody that we talk to, we tell them you come on the show. Just
the good and the bad will talk
know
to
it's
them.
live. It's a live feed, and we don't have delay. So, well, thanks for calling, caller. We got to roll.
talk to you guys later.
Take care. Thanks,
Well, John, thanks for,
Kaz. Yeah, we should get somebody from 506 on here next.
well, contact me. I've always opened the show to everything. We got a lot of
reach out.
subjects I wanna,
I'll put it on Facebook. and I'll get some feedback real quick, probably. All right, Mike, whenever you're ready for the tunes. Kaz, thanks.
It's like when we went to,
You have been watching Taxpayers Hotline, recorded live from the fabulous city of Erie, Pennsylvania.